welcome to Combat Vet Vision. This is a platform for our veterans, us, our sponsors, supporters, volunteers, amazing bunch of things that can happen. And, it's really a support network for our veterans to tell their stories. Anybody who comes in here to tell their story and really kind of accomplish, what are they trying to do? What are we trying to do? What are we moving forward with? And how are things going, whether it's chaos or not, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. We want to talk about it a little bit and really get kind of some focus out there. So, Chef, how you doing?
Hey,
Chef?
I'm doing great. What's going on in Las Vegas? That's what we're going to talk about too. So that's great. We've got a putt-putt golf course. Putt-putt golf tournament coming up out at the Eagles out in Henderson. And you want to sponsor a hole, it's $20 if you just want to come and play. We have hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, $10 to play, and they have prizes. So, and it's a good thing. And we'll have some raffle prizes, and they take good care of us from 5 to 9, 310 South Pacific Avenue in Henderson, Nevada. And that one road is closed. They're putting a roundabout. So come in on Pacific from Main Street, and you'll be able to get in and get out. No problem. Lots of parking. Great. And it's indoors with air conditioning. It's supposed to be 105. So,
outside.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks a lot, Chef. It's good. We're gonna come back and review that just a little bit. Hey, my guest this week, I got Brady Fowler on deck, and he is a United States Army vet, Chinook operator, all kinds of different things that he did on the Chinook, and his process through that, and getting wounded and coming out and facing life and getting involved in that, being a rancher and all kinds of cool stuff. And I met him way back on Tim Maxwell's property, which is Team Semper Max. He had his nonprofit doing a whole bunch of cool things. I call him the grandfather of Wounded Warrior Battalion West and East and the regiment. He's the reason why those exist, and a whole bunch of other things about that. And hopefully I'll get him on the show eventually too. But meeting Brady out there on his ranch way back in the day was cool. Brady, hey, thanks a lot for being on the show. Good to have you, sir.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
All the way
great. Thanks for having me.
From Colorado. What town in Colorado?
I live in Black Hawk, Colorado. It's in Gilpin County, one of the smallest counties in Colorado.
Nice. And that's going to be important later on when we talk about some other things that he's involved in his service. So, hey, Brady, if you don't mind, introduce yourself, talk about what it was that inspired you to join the Army and your history in the Army, and then, getting out and being, how was your transition? And we'll get into all that as well.
Okay. Yeah. So I graduated high school in 92 and joined immediately afterwards. I was framing houses, and I wasn't college material. I just wasn't ready, and I didn't have the mindset. So the military seemed like a good place for me. I thought I'd do 4 years and I'd get out. And then I think I was on my 16th year, and I had to do another reenlistment, and I was on my way to Iraq, and I was going to get a huge bonus. So I was like, well, I guess, this is the end of it for me. So I thought I was going to continue. I had a great career in the military. I had a really cool job. Like you said, I got to fly on Chinooks. I was a door gunner, a ramp gunner. I did a crew member job in flight engineering. I was a night vision instructor. So just a lot. It's just it's a sexy mission for Army guys. And so I did that. And close to my retirement, I was involved in just a bad mishap. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I got pretty complacent and got mortared. So it changed everything after that, of course. Like everybody else, it gets kind of boogered up. I didn't really, understand my injuries when I first had them. It wasn't until later I started having a bunch of different symptoms, and they come to find out that I had traumatic epilepsy and I had a brain aneurysm. It was all because of the percussion from this 122 millimeter mortar that came in. So that kind of started my life in WTU. I got, pushed out of the regular unit real quick and pushed into WTU. I didn't have enough years to retire, but the WTU, because I was an E8,
WTU is Wounded Transition Unit, right? Or something.
Yeah. And that's an Army
for the Army
thing.
That's Army specific. It's like Wounded Warrior Battalion West for the Marine Corps, Safe Harbor for the Navy, and so on.
Yeah. So I got stationed I was at Fort Carson at the time. So they put me into the WTU right there. I got to stay there until I got my care completed. And, I would say that I didn't agree with the way that the system worked, because if, you know, a guy like me that had at that point, I had about 18 years active duty. They took really good care of me. The younger guys, they didn't take such good care of. And I saw a lot of guys get hooked on drugs. I saw a lot of guys that just had a really rough go. And I could see that, you know, it was really tough for a lot of those guys. And some guys that had 5 years in, 6 years in, they wanted to make a career, and they were shoved out with nothing. And so it was, you know, that was kind of tough being a guy like me, is that I didn't get to take care of soldiers anymore. I didn't get to take care of these dudes. I had to just be one of the injured people and just be a muff and just be this E8 that did nothing. You know, I answered to an E6 was my squad leader. And so it's kind of, you know, I don't know. I was a broken toy that they didn't know where to put. Right. So my experience with the WTU was good by and large, except for at that point, there were so many guys that were coming back. This is 06, 07, 08. That crew of guys, when we got done with the push, you know, there's a lot of dudes that were 25% off and 50% off when I'm talking about limbs, and a lot of brain injuries, a lot of mental health issues too. So yeah, you'll probably have to keep me on track a little bit, Aaron, because
Hey, it's okay. You know, this is your story.
Yeah.
I want to say, you know, it's really easy to skip over a bunch of stuff, but you know, you have a lot of things in between. And obviously, I think talking about the you know, the WTU is going to be an important piece. You know, but also your career, you know, obviously the sexy job of being on a Chinook and all these different positions in there. You obviously have to learn a lot about the bird. You have to learn a lot about everything, and the functionality of it all is it's super awesome. And like you said, it's the biggest helicopter that the Marine of the services that we've had. It's a beast, you know. And the 46 is what the Marine Corps had. I mean, it's a, you know, double bladed, you know, overhead flying creature, and they don't really fly. They just beat the air into submission. Yeah. So helicopters do not fly. They beat the air into submission, as I was told by a pilot once. But you know, you were on the biggest bird that we had at the time, because now we're into the Ospreys and a whole bunch of other cool things, you know, that are flying around. But you know, that bird's been around since right after World War II, right?
Yeah.
Right after Korean War.
Actually, yeah, Korean War. It was designed to carry the big boy.
Yeah, and it can carry almost a whole bunch of stuff inside the fuel sludge to underneath it. It can, you know, it can pretty much pick up a house and move it wherever you need it to go. But it's a beast. But you know, you got to do that, and catching the mortar round. You're a professional mortar round catcher like me. It's a hit and miss situation, you know, and sometimes you're here and sometimes you're not. So luckily we're both here, and talk about that day a little bit. Talk about what happened.
Man, so my testimony on that is crazy. I shouldn't be here, you know, like a lot of dudes, right? But like I said, we worked nights. We weren't allowed to fly during the day at all, because they wanted a Chinook so bad. The terrorists did, you know, because that was always a big win for them. You know, they got one Chinook early on that they got. I think there was 30 people on, or no, there wasn't 30 people on board. There was about 18 people on board. They got one, and it always makes big news. So, you know, the rules of engagement was that we had to fly 100% NVG. So, yeah, I went in early. We were planning a big mission set. We were doing an infill, exfil, a big air assault, taking out an IED factory. And so, man, this is a crazy story. I was on a Porta-John, and I heard the air raids going off, and I was so numb to the air raids going off all the time. I was like, man, I'm going to sit this out, literally. And you know, probably like, I don't know, 30 seconds into the air raid going off, I could hear the fins of mortars coming in, and I heard the first couple come into our motor pool. And I could hear people screaming. And I was like, man, I'm in a bad way. I'm in a really bad position here, because I was in an alley on the outside of one of the HESCO barriers. So at the last minute, man, I heard the fins right in front of me, and I heard it land right in front of right where I was sitting. You know, perspective, I'm behind a plastic door in a porta crapper in probably 110 degrees in the middle of the day. I mean, sweating. And it went off, and rocks and debris and metal and all the stuff that's inside of those mortars came through that plastic. Yeah. The thruster toilet. And I was able to exit it. I didn't have my body armor. I didn't have anything. And all I was doing was just trying to get to a bunker. So I got to a bunker, and the guys we were doing the mission set they were like, where you been? And so I told them, and they're all laughing at me, and they're checking me, you know, they're doing a full assessment of me, trying to figure out what's wrong. And the only thing that they could figure out was that my pupils were off. And so I ended up going to into Balad and getting checked out. And they said, yeah, they did the standard protocol. And the protocols for head injuries or brain injuries at that time were pretty mild. They didn't really know, like how to diagnose that stuff. So it was just, yeah, basically you're concussed. So take a couple days off and things will be better. Chew on some aspirin or have a Motrin and you'll be all right. So I started getting severe headaches. I started getting migraines. So that's when they started to do, imaging of my brain and doing a bunch of different stuff. And this is also at the end of my rotation. So I think I got hit in like August and we left in September. So we were already kind of starting our right seat, left seat rides. I don't know if you guys, but our new unit is coming in. So we're teaching them how to take our job. We're already packing up our Chinooks. We're getting ready we're pulling out. We got 14 Chinooks and we're taking 12 of them back home. So we're wrapping them up, getting them ready to go on the boat. So I didn't have time to be sick. I was an E8. I'm a first sergeant at that time. I got 68 people that I got to take care of. So I just gutted it out. So literally I was just taking Motrin. I was taking whatever I could to just kind of help. They put me on a migraine medication and then none of that helped. So then finally, like I said, I got back and they started doing imaging and they realized that I had a pretty severe brain aneurysm. And it's in a almost inoperable place in my brain. It's called the center of Willis. It's in between your eyes and kind of in the middle. It's in your sinus area. And so, they just kept monitoring that. And then in the midst of all of that, I met, Tim Maxwell in the middle of this. And the first time that I had a massive seizure was when I was meeting with Tim Maxwell. So then that kicked off a whole other series of events where I'm having these seizures all the time. So here I am, I'm probably at that point, I'm in my 40s and the state of Colorado takes my driver's license from me because I'm not supposed to drive anymore. So I'm bumming rides. I live out in the country. I'm raising cattle. And it's the most, everybody just assumed I had a DUI because I was pretty wild when I was in the Army. So yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was pretty humiliating actually for a long time. And then finally they just decided that they would transfer me to the WTU. So shifted me over there. And then, at that point they were doing there was so much research going on for brain care that I was actually able to go back to Washington or to Bethesda and go to the Intrepid. And I spent a couple weeks at the Intrepid Center and learned a lot more about what my injuries were. Cause mine were, they were all inside. I didn't have any physical injuries really. So, just like every other dude, they just packed drugs on me and especially on the seizure drugs. And the seizure drugs were terrible because I was either kind of like a meth head where I was all strung out and wiry, or I'd be like a garden snail where I was so lethargic, I just couldn't do anything. So, I don't remember where it even came up, but somebody recommended that I get an implant. So I've got an implant. It's called a VNS. It's a vagus nerve stimulator, and it's inputted in my chest right here, and it discharges the extra energy that creates seizures. And so I was the very first guy in the military when I was active duty and also in the VA that got the VNS. And so it's been amazing because I'm not on any drugs at all. I take nothing. I don't even take aspirin. And I know there's a lot of guys that can't say that because they have injuries or they have ailments or they have things that they have to be on drugs for life. And you guys know that, our bodies, we wear out drugs. So what works for us today in 6 months, they got to do a new cocktail. And that's what they were doing with me. It was a constant, I would outgrow my seizure meds within 3 months. So having this VNS, this is my third VNS or, battery pack that they put in has changed my life immensely because I'm not on drugs.
Wow. See, and that's the incredible things that we as veterans and the veteran community obviously needs to know, because something that really works for somebody and you can vouch for it is super powerful thing. It's a tool, to be the first. I was one of the first patients at the, when they finally flew us to the West Coast and we got to Naval Hospital, Balboa, to be placed on their C5 or whatever it was, that C7, to be a patient there. And before that, it was only Bethesda and Walter Reed. So, a lot of things, because war kicks off, it creates a whole different dynamic of support. And like you said, they were kicking people out that, hey, you only got like 6 years in, even though you want to make a career, we got to let you go. I want to say I saw that too when I was at Wounded Warrior Battalion West. The commandant finally said, hey, we'll let you stay. You might have to switch MOSs. They finally, but it took a while, but it was not the kind of while that it would take the bureaucracy if we didn't have war. And I would say, war sucks. It's unfortunate that we have it, but some of the benefits that come from it become super important to kind of navigate. And for us, for you to have to feel like, oh man, people are probably looking at me like I got a DUI. These are the kind of things that we have to kind of take into effect. I don't have the physical wounds. I'm not missing an arm and a leg. You're not missing an arm and a leg, but I limp. And sometimes I have to be on a cane, but I don't want to be on the cane. So I fight against it. So there's always this conflict within ourselves, right? Am I just a pansy and I'm a faker, or I have to pretend like I'm jacked up, or are we really jacked up? And we are really jacked up, but we don't express that enough to say, hey, I may be jacked up, but I'm using these tools to find the ways to make it through. And it's great. If you could talk a little bit about that, and, obviously seeing the changes that maybe even happen at the WTU for our veterans, I think that's a really incredible thing.
Well, I'd play off of what we've never seen so much prosthetic, the advancements in prosthetics, how fast it went, because there were so many dudes that were losing limbs, and it sucks. But what it did for other people, so many people in sports that are now able, even little children, them putting in electronic gyros in these prosthetics, they've done so much. It really, the veteran community, I'm not saying anybody owes us nod our hat to us, but it really did a lot for the community. And like you said, this different technology that we're using to combat different things so that guys can have a quality of life is pretty amazing. I was very skeptical about when they offered this to me, because I was, if you're the first dude, it's like, so you guys just want me to be a space monkey. So, and it's permanent. It's not like they can take these wires that go up. They can't take them out. They can take out the generator, but I'm stuck with this wiring for life. So, there was some risk involved in that, I guess, but it's one of those things. I guess most of us are I think we're pretty ballsy by nature. Military guys are. And so, we take risks and we do things that I guess other people wouldn't do. I wouldn't take I guess exploratory vaccines, but I was willing to take this so that I could, have a different quality of life. And then back to what you had asked about, Aaron, is that the WTU, I think it was a lot like probably what Tim Maxwell had, is that, we saw the need was coming, but that we were so far behind the power curve on getting WTUs or different mechanisms stood up, different battalions, so that we could care for our wounded. We didn't know what we were doing. And then you've got all these doctors that they're trying to hire out of nowhere. And these doctors have no military experience. They have nothing in common with us. They don't speak our language. They didn't understand what we were talking about. They don't understand acronyms. They didn't understand just basic stuff. And for those guys, I think it was probably very difficult to try and navigate that too, because here's this really good job. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I want to care for these guys. And so, and there's this huge influx of different dudes and dudettes, but that some of them are they're totally broke mentally and physically, and they just want out. And then there's ones that are missing 3 legs, 3 limbs, that are going, put me back in, coach. I want to go play. So make me better so that I can get back with my unit. And I saw that over and over and over, of guys that just were so determined to try and get back in. And there wasn't really a pathway forward for those guys unless there was a silver star involved, and it was going to be a PR move for the DOD at that time. Those are the only guys that I saw that were getting back on active duty, if it was a good story for the nation. So
yeah, that's so true, and then and they let you stay until 20 years, or how many years did you get to stay? And then obviously talk about your transition, and then we'll get into your still serving and your wanting to still serve.
Yeah, so I did. Sorry, my voice. I got my 20, and immediately after that, they pushed me out. So I got to hang out just a little bit. I wasn't hanging out for years, but I hung out long enough to get my 20. So I got my full military retirement, and 100% of my pay is CRSC also. So that boosted my pay even better. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with CRSC, but
Yep.
Initially I was on CRD.
Well.
Yeah, initially I was on CRDP.
As was I.
Yeah, so I just had a really good VSO that said, hey, this is wrong. Let's look at this. So they were able to get me 70% on CRSC. So I get 70% of my base pay. So, I mean, I'm really, really blessed. And the good Lord took care of me in ways that I never even thought he was going to do. I thought I was just going to kind of get put out. And the WTU, when I was there, one of the challenges that they were having was that they were taking these guys and they're removing them from active duty, so they lose their active duty paycheck, and they're not lined up with the VA yet. So I was there when they implemented the policy is that I couldn't retire until I had a paycheck in both accounts. So that was another way that man, the Lord took care of me that way also, because my VA hit and then my retirement pay hit, and then they said, okay, we saw that in your account, you're out of here.
Right,
so,
right.
Aaron, I wasn't involved in the WTU in any type of leadership fashion at all, except for the guy that ran the WTU was ended up being and has been a lifelong friend of mine. And so it was just small world thing. I ended up being underneath him, and it was my experience with the WTU was not all bad, but I couldn't say that for other guys. I saw other guys that they had it rough, and a lot of poor decisions by young soldiers too.
Right. Yeah. Those poor decisions. I mean, I saw the same thing. I went in there as a first class, and luckily I was able to pick up chief from the Wounded Warrior Battalion West and retired from there. And but I saw that, poor decisions from the younger guys. I mean, first 2 years trying to get those things to stand up, we lost 5 to suicide, and it was like super nutty. It was just because the systems weren't built to handle the influx of what we gave them, and we forced it down their throat to, hey, you have to take care of them in this way because they're scattered like cats. They all have different needs. This isn't everyone's going to the gas chamber today. Everybody's going to go to the range today. It's like everyone's going everywhere today, and that somewhere has never been explored. So we need to find transportation, logistics, and all kinds of other things. And we need to stand.
Candy ain't going to work.
Yeah, the VA candy isn't going to work. But the handoff started to happen, right? Like you said, the total handoff, both paychecks had to be squared away. Everything had to be squared away prior to getting out. Those things were in the works, and they finally got worked out. And they did it a lot better towards the end of my career. And I retired in 2011 and saw a lot of things that had changed and made huge differences. But, like you said, you got out and you were working the ranches. You were doing some stuff. We met at Tim Maxwell's place, and that was great because he started a ranch out there and wanted to have veterans come work in ranch, and you still can. He has an open policy once a year. He's a big party out there, hunting, all kinds of stuff. You want to fill some of that stuff in, Brady, and your transition.
Well, so my transition was. I had some bumps in my transition, and Shannon Maxwell knew the chief of staff of the Army and was able to make a couple phone calls for me. And he got on the phone and said, this is what's going to happen with Brady. And so, she cleared the way to where my transition was so easy. I was just so blessed to meet the Maxwells. But I don't even know how I met Tim. I can't even think of where, how we crossed paths, but they just took to me and just said, whatever it is that you need, we're going to be here for you. I was at Walter Reed, and then, like I said, I went to the Bethesda, but I just met up with Shannon, and they just started just loving on me, man, and just took care of me and in ways that I didn't even understand, and told me about benefits and about how to not circumnavigate the system, but how to navigate a really complex system that for a dude that had a brain injury at that time, man, I barely could fill out a check. I could barely do just normal functions. I didn't have it, and I had bad shakes, and I had a bunch of different things. And I don't know, they just loved on me and took me to their ranch, and I'd been out there a couple times. And then, like you said, they flew us out there, and I had a little bit of knowledge of, as soon as I retired, I had this guy that had always supported me, an older guy. And so he'd bought a 2,500 acre ranch in Eastern Colorado. And he's like, hey man, I want you to come out. And I know what he was doing. I didn't know it then, but I know it now. As looking back, he was trying to take care of me and help me with my transition. He had a family that had all served. His father was in World War II, and he didn't want to see what happened to a lot of his family happen to me. And so he took me out there, gave me purpose, said, here's 180 cattle, take care of them, run the hunting operation however you want to hunt it, run it like this, and we'll have customers and we'll do this. And he supplied me with the cash and, all the capital that I needed to make this happen. And so it kept me busy. I think that veterans by nature, a lot of us are isolationists. And so it's really easy for us to kind of go Sasquatch and never be seen again. And that was the only downside, is that I was in Eastern Colorado in a little town called Simla, Colorado, the middle of nowhere. It was just me, my dog, and 180 head of cattle. And at the time, I thought it was really good for me, but it was probably looking back, it cost me a marriage because I spent all my time out there. It cost my kids more birthdays because I wasn't there. It cost them, more holidays where I was not neglecting my kids, but I would come home on the weekend and I'd see them. But I lived there because there was a house for me. There was everything there, for me to just kind of thrive and survive by myself. So I ended up, getting into a church out there and meeting some really good friends, and being part of that little community was good for me. But like I said, it took its toll on me in some ways also, but life is good now.
Yeah, I would say, I can relate to that because I think we're so mission oriented that we're so used to dropping everything else off and carrying on the mission. And so when we're given a mission, we kind of find every way in the book to accomplish that. And sometimes that does cost relationships and a lot of hard things. And it's not that, in the military, you have to be that way, but outside of that, it's hard to learn not to be that way. And it's great. So your transition went into that, but hey, you're still serving, you're still wanting to serve. And let's talk about that because that's on a limited basis because they're wanting to push you. They're wanting to, see you in the future. But you're running for office. Let's talk about why. And veterans don't run for office too often because we felt, a lot of us already served, but I'm telling you, the stuff is looking so crazy out there that we have to get involved because common sense stuff that we're talking about is the same stuff that's written in the Constitution of the United States of America. And, we can't keep taking, and all these people that are trying to serve that are changing the entire structure of the life of the United States of America into some third world country. But I don't want to get into that too much, but I do want to hear about your service and let's talk about that. Let's talk about why veterans, need to be involved, but they're not, and, all these different things.
Yeah. So I'll just do like a quick background. So while my kids were in school in this small town that we used to live, I got on the district accountability board, it's a sublet of a school board. And so you kind of set the agenda for the school board. Here's what's going to happen on this month. We're going to talk about the budget, blah, blah, blah. So that was my first kind of step into politics. And man, I was rowdy. I had a hard time with that group because we were really kind of being soft with kids, and I wasn't never soft with my children. And so these soccer moms and these gymnastics moms would talk about, oh, we have to do this with kids. And I would say outlandish stuff like, these kids are, they're rocks with lips, or they're, and so that my career as a DAC board member didn't last very long. They found a new place for me and just said, hey, you should go coach like softball or be an assistant coach, but maybe the DAC's not right for you. But that was kind of my first little bit of politics where I saw, man, these people don't have a lot of common sense. They want to make excuses for everybody and for all their children and for everything that's going on in society. It's not their problem. They never were reflective and said, maybe it's me as a parent. Maybe I suck, So then I transitioned out of the ranch. I'd known this lady that I was in the Army with, and I'd known her for probably, I don't know, at that point, maybe 15 years. And I got my divorce, and I'd been divorced for a while, and I reached out to her and I just said, hey, I just wanted to talk to you. I think about you, and she's an awesome lady, and we're married now. She was living up here in Blackhawk, and I was actually raised in Gold Hill, which is a town that's 40 minutes from here up in the mountains at 9,000 feet. So this was kind of an easy transition for me to come back home, back up to the mountains. So I get up here, and I'd only been living probably here for like maybe 6 months, and the HOA that we had was just terrible. We were suing each other with our own money. I mean, talk about common sense. There was none. So there was a couple, I would say, older guys that were, I don't want to say conservative in a Republican way or a Democrat way, but just conservative minded fiscal guys. They were like, hey, Brady, you're a common sense dude. We really want you on this board. And I was like, I don't want anything to do with that. So they pushed and they finally got me on. We were able to make a bunch of different changes and kind of make it a common sense HOA. And I know that sounds really silly when we're talking about politics, but people always throw out this term grassroots, and it's overused and I'm not trying to like say that I did anything special, but when you get 5 people that have common sense together that are going to run a board, things run really well. And it doesn't matter if they're Democrats. It doesn't matter if they're liberal. If they just have common thoughts and they want to take care of their neighbors and they want to have a voice for their neighbor instead of a voice for themselves, things worked really well. So we have this really successful HOA. We've been able to basically lower dues, do all kinds of neat improvements into our neighborhood, just cool stuff. And that was kind of a mistake, to be honest, because those same people were involved in local politics. And then that fed into a couple years later, I ran for school board, and I didn't get the nod for school board, but I got beat by a great opponent. I didn't know that she was going to be my opponent. I was really scared of, and I don't want to generalize or make bad assumptions, but I was really scared that there was going to be one of these parents that was pro transgender, that was pro boys and girls sports, all the things that don't line up with my morals and my ethics that I see in all these public schools all over America. So the only reason I ran is because I was going to be that guy. I was going to be a common sense dude, and I was going to bring the same ethics and morals that I brought to our HOA. I was going to bring that into the school board. Luckily, I got beat by a lady that she thinks along the lines that I do, but she entered the race after I did, and I didn't know exactly how she was, but I'm tickled that she got the board position. She's the right lady for the job. So 2 more years go by, and there's a county commissioner, position it's not coming up. It's an incumbent position. And they said the same people that kind of have had a lot of influence over me up here have said, hey, we want you to run for this position. And I'm telling you, I said, there's no way. I never as a kid dreamt of being a politician. I know there's a lot of people that do that. Their parents are very influential, and they say, someday you're going to do this. You're going to join the military so that you have that experience, so that you look like a good candidate. All those things where they're checking blocks. And that wasn't me. Man, I wanted to be a dinosaur, and I wanted to be Daniel Boone. I wanted to, be a mountain man. I wanted to hunt and just be left alone and fish and do cool things. And so they finally said, I had so many people that said, the reason that you keep saying that you don't want to do it makes you the perfect candidate. Because if you're in this for your self-ambitions, then we wouldn't have even asked you. Because people that have that ambition are about it for themselves instead of, trying to be a voice for the community. So, I just kind of back to what you said is, I completely believe in the Constitution. I believe in individual liberties. I believe that we should have 100% local, state, and federal transparency when it comes to our tax dollars. And the last thing is, I think that we should be able to engage with our neighbors and not necessarily agree, but not consider them an enemy. And I think that that's where we've gotten as a society now, is that if we don't see eye to eye exactly, then our society has deemed it and made us believe that we can't even talk to each other anymore. And so our politics is so polarizing. And I think at a county level, it doesn't have to be that way. So I've even, it's kind of a funny story, but I've got a neighbor that she's from California, and she's a very liberal lady. And after I spoke with her for probably an hour and a half, she said, hey, I want to be your campaign manager. And ideologically, when we sit down and we talk to people, we have so much more in common with people than we ever give them credit for. So this lady, she's a mom, and she cares about her kids, and she cares about not having boys and girls sports, and she cares about all the same things that I do. She might be a little bit more liberal when it comes to handouts instead of hand-ups, like I believe in, and some other things. Right. But 75% of the issues that we can agree on, we see eye to eye on. And so we've become really great friends, and she helps me with my campaign. And, that's just one person in the county that I'm talking about. It's countless other ones that are like, when I just tell them, everybody wants to make politics national. Even local politics now is a national thing. Well, what's Trump doing? And I'm like, I don't care what Trump's doing, because I'm worried about what's happening right here in Gilpin County. And so that's my whole message.
That's where it's got to start, right there in front of you. What you're facing. That's where
we're not going to fix this country from the top down. We've got to fix it from the bottom up. And that's my philosophy. Other people have different ones, but I just don't see it. So if we can't clean up where we live, and if I can't police this little area where I live and make it better for the citizens of this county, we can't expect that it's going to come from the top. No one's coming to save us.
No.
Yeah, no one's coming. It's up to us. And Brady, you got just a couple more minutes. Any final words? But I want to say thanks a lot for being here, and I'd like to have you back at any time. And if there's something that's coming up that you need to, put it out there, I got the 10-minute segments that are designed for that, and I'd love for you to be able to, throw flyers out there, things that are going on in your neck of the woods. But I mean, it is so rad that you are, going into politics. And just real briefly, talk about why you're not going to go any further, or unless you're pushed really hard, man. Because I mean, as much as you want to say, hey, I can't go to the next office, I just want to hold this little piece, things can go really well. And I mean, I think it's an honor that that I know you, that it's a chance for you to kind of take on some responsibilities that you've hey man, I already served. I don't want to serve. You know, it's such a cool thing. You're not doing it for you. You're not being that guy that's like, hey, I'm going to make these kind of deals because it benefits me. No, I'm going to make these kind of deals because it benefits the community. And that's where we need to be. I think it's awesome.
And
Yeah, just
it's worth it.
so kind of what you were saying, Aaron, is that you know, when you get out there and you establish yourself a little bit in a community and people understand you and they trust you, then they want you to take on more responsibility. So I'll be 53 in December this year, and I plan on doing 8 years because it's 2 terms, 2 4-year terms, and that's my obligation. And so I've already been contacted like, hey, what's next for you? What's after this? Because a lot of people use local politics as a stepping stone into the Senate, you know, state Senate, or into a House district. And I said, I'm not interested in any of that. I don't want anything to do with that. All I want to do is the same thing that I did in the military, is that I want to get in and I want to train the next guy or gal to take my job, so that in 2 years, when we have another election and we have another open seat, is that I've got a good candidate that understands what it means to be a good commissioner, that cares about the people, that has common sense, and have them just be a shoe-in to be placed into that. So somebody that I, you know, just as a first sergeant, where you're training your platoon sergeant, hey, I'm getting ready to go on leave. You got to be the first sergeant. How does it look? What does it look like where you got to do my job? That's my whole motive. I don't have any bigger ambition than this. I don't want to be like Mitch McConnell, where you're 84 years old and no one even knows if he's alive or dead because he's been around for so long. So at the end of this, I'll be 61 years old, and that I want to just go hunt the planet with my wife. That's what we do. We go on hunting trips, we go on fishing trips, and we've saved money throughout our lives so that we can do that. So my career ends at the end of this. And, you know, the only thing I'd ask is that even if you don't live here, if you'd follow my campaign on Facebook, it's Brady, Brady FOR. So Brady for Gilpin, and it's GILPIN. Find it on Facebook, or you can go to my website. It's bradyforgilpin.com. Just follow me and, you know, make comments if you guys have something positive to say or if you're excited about it. But I'd love for this to kind of spread throughout other communities where guys see that they can still have purpose and that it's not hard to run for office. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding when you can make and affect change in a community, and that you can, you know, make this a healthier place where people want to live and they want to thrive and they want to survive.
Awesome, Brady. Thanks. And you can always get a hold of Brady through me if you need to. And, you know, you could see his links. They're posted on the show notes. Please look them up. And if you want to get into office and you have any questions, even if you got something negative to say, hit him up and bring it up. You know, let's talk about it. And he's willing to talk to you about it. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I have thick skin and a short memory, so I'm all about
You're
tough
okay.
questions.
Hey, Brady, thanks a lot. Chef, you got anything for him before we let him go for the second?
Talking about Chinooks.
Yes, sir.
My thing with Chinooks was I used to feed special forces. I mentored a young chef that undertook government contracts. So we had about hundreds at a location, and we set them down for dinner one night, and they were all sitting there eating. All of a sudden, I was out talking to one of them. I heard whoop, 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 whoop in the background, right? Long ways away. The guys, they all dropped their forks at the same time, all got up, all ran to their tents, got their equipment, came back, and all you heard was whoop, 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 whoop. Louder and louder and louder. And finally, man, it like 3 of them landed, and they were going to the box for war games that night. And I'm telling you, these things are enormous, make a lot of noise, and you can hear them coming from probably 20 miles away.
They were probably running to their tents to hold them down so they didn't blow away.
No, they were in,
or they were getting their equipment because they were getting ready. They're like, oh, we got to go.
Yeah.
We got to go train. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Brady, thanks, Chef. Thanks for sharing that story. I mean, these stories are always awesome. You know, to see a helicopter fly in is always a beautiful, crazy sight. So thanks, Brady.
For Coastie.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hey, we're going to transition real quick to our 10-minute segment. We got, I got Tom Gibbons on deck from Darts Only Golf, and he Hey, Tom.
Hey, I can hear you now. Sorry.
Hey, cool. No, it was ours. The internet kind of faded out and killed the whole feed and was looking all crazy. Hey, thanks for being here. This is Tom Gibbons from Darts Only Golf, and he arranges golf tournaments all over the Southern California area, from corporate to nonprofits to personal to all kinds of stuff. But he actually has an awesome program that's helping our veterans find work and opportunities to not just work, but therapeutic effect and work. So, Tom, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. How are you? Keeping busy.
Good. Hey, throw it out there. Darts Only Golf. What does it do, and how has it been helping the veteran community as well as just the community as a whole? And you as that has created this to also help funds. And I remember from the first time we met, you wanted to help raise money for the PTSD Foundation, Warrior Built, and all the other organizations that are incorporated, BTRC.
You're freezing on me again. Can you hear me?
Oh, go. Yeah. Go ahead and explain, what is it that Darts Only Golf does and why it does it for the community and all the different things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we, one of the big reasons we started the company was, I obviously supported some charities in the past through my real estate career, and I got involved with some other groups and kind of realized, people were running golf tournaments for charities and just kind of how the funds are being misallocated in some form. So, we started the business to really try to do better, and bring a really good net result to our clients. And that's what we've done. We're about a year and a half in to the business. And I mean, we've done events all over the country now. Obviously Southwest is our core market, but we also just got back from Cabo San Lucas for a 5-day charity event, running some golf down there. So technically we're international now, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's our goal. We're here to help charities, corporations, marketing events, personal events, like you said, to just run a more efficient event, bring more optics to it, bring more efficiency from a cost perspective, and just really try to elevate them and build platforms that kind of can operate in perpetuity, for their sponsors and player profiles, so that it's not just a 1-year success, it's a multi-year success story.
Nice. And I'm gonna see if Brian could bring up the flyer real quick, and if you can talk about what this means. Obviously, you got all these nonprofit organizations: Recon Chief, the Veterans Transition Resource Center, Warrior Built, and the PTSD Foundation of America, and Combat Division, of course. But these are all charities that I'm involved in, and because I have such a cool relationship with Tom, we've kind of made this really cool opportunity for the veterans that are involved with their lives, pushing forward in positive directions. And talk about this a little bit, Tom.
Yeah. I mean, this was a brainchild of yourself. Obviously we always wanted to support veterans in any way we can. So we, collectively we came up with the Veteran Impact Initiative, and the goal was, to give veterans, a platform to kind of, whether it's re-entering the workforce or just looking for a supplemental income source, or to be part of a team again, be part of a mission. We look at our tournaments as missions. They're individual missions. They happen sometimes one a month, sometimes 17 in a week. So you always have to be ready and organized and efficient. So, and we rely on our team on course and at the events to pull their weight to execute their overall vision. So I felt like this was a great platform, for the veterans to get involved in, give them a sense of purpose, give them that camaraderie again with a team, and bottom line, you're also supporting great causes. I mean, we obviously do a ton with the military groups, but we also do a ton outside, a lot of the hospitals, a lot of the, schools, things of that nature. So, you also get to be exposed to a lot of different connections and relationships, which can actually help build your network and maybe create other opportunities outside of our business.
Definitely. Because when you're out on the golf course, and it's not just those organizations up there. You do a lot with the Navy SEAL foundations. You have a lot of connections there that are businesses that are doing great things for the military and for so many other things. So I think it's awesome. And Tom, right now, I know it's pretty much we're pulling veterans from, the Southern California area, and we've talked about it. Eventually you're going to be, you're international now. So these golf tournaments can take place in your neck of the woods. And if you're one of the guys that are associated with me and you're in my warrior groups, you're pushing forward with positive direction and you're ready to kind of do this job, Tom's only commitment is really, asking for 6 days a year. And this works around your schedule. This works around your VA schedule. This works around a lot of things, but it gives you an opportunity to get out on the golf course and do something and work for Tom 6 days a year. You're going to get paid for it. And it's a total benefit to that. And being on a golf course to me has always been therapeutic. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
And Tom, you got anything else to add to that thought process?
Yeah. I mean, we're expanding. I mean, we have a bunch of events coming up in the Phoenix market. We just got back from Northern California. So, we expect this program to grow with us, and to that point, most of our staff is kind of, we call event based, or, basically called part-time, for lack of a better phrase. So, we work around your schedule. We send you our schedule. You can kind of say what you can and can't do. So we're extremely flexible, but once you say you're going to be there, then we expect you to be there, kind of thing. Right. So, but yeah, we give all the training, we give any resources you need. The goal is to help build your career and your connection base. Because again, as we're growing, those could turn into more permanent positions as we scale, or again, we have a lot of relationships we can also bridge if there's a need.
Nice. And the other thing I want to put out there is he is taking the your disabilities into effect. So if there's any special things, we can talk about it. I mean, it's up to you on what you want to disclose, because obviously that's medical information, but it's better to let Tom know, because or his staff know, because he is going to take that into consideration, obviously dealing with the surrounding elements that we got. Right. Chef, you got anything for him?
Yeah. Any chance of moving into the Vegas area? We got a lot of
golf. Oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely a target market for us. We do have some things that are in the works that could be there, sometime next year on a larger scale. So yeah, absolutely. But if there's events there now, we're happy to travel. We have our Sprinter vans that we can drive out there with all of our production equipment. So if there's anybody that has an event in Vegas area or Phoenix area, anywhere in the Southwest, hit us up. We'll definitely be able to provide some support.
Okay.
Awesome. I know the VTRC here is in Vegas. I know we'd like to do a golf tournament in the future to help raise funds and do a bunch of different things. Definitely. But we'll look forward to that, Tom. And any last words? And how can people get a hold of you if they want to get into the golf tournament? If you want to support these military operations, and you get a good pick. I mean, we got a couple of them coming up. I know you're getting ready to support the PTSD Foundation of America and the American
Music Project,
Patriot Music Project. And we just got done doing it. Yeah, we just got done doing a guitar build with them. They're getting ready to do another guitar build here coming up in August. But Tom, how can someone get a hold of you? And if they want to start a golf tournament, how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, you can hit us up through our Instagram pages. We have Darts Only Golf and Darts Only Golf Events. Those messages come through me at some point. And then, my email is tom@dartsonlygolf.com. Pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking to do an event and it's a first-year event, or it's been an event you've done for years, look, there's always ways to do it better and to increase your net proceeds. And that's what we specialize in. There's a no-pressure environment from here. We want to find ways to support, to enhance the event. We never want to be a negative impact, but with our resources and our relationships, even with our fee that we charge to run your event, we usually save you that money right from the start. So we're always kind of a net benefit is our goal. And yeah, so I think that's where there's no harm in a conversation. Have us take a look at your event, see what we can do. Sometimes we'll just go play in your event, like we did with the Warrior built, and see what we could maybe do better, and just continue to enhance it. So yeah, it's always worth a conversation as well, I'll say.
Yeah, and the expectations of the golf tournament, it's a world-class golf tournament that Tom puts on, but it's up to you to have a good network of people to kind of put out there. Even though Tom puts his network into effect, it only gets better with the amount of work that you put into it too. And I just want to put that out there. And a shout out to Adam Brown. He's running a veterans campground in Southern California. He just hit me up. He wants to get on the team so he can make some extra cash or just be involved. So that'd be great, Tom. And then we could probably make some money for that veterans campground some way down the line. But Tom, thanks for being here. And if there's something else coming up, we're going to have you back on any given time, and we'll put it out there. But shout out to Adam Brown for reaching out to us right here live. Thanks, brother.
Awesome, guys.
Good. Hey,
Chef,
Yeah,
I know we've had a lot of really great stuff today.
Yeah,
how you feeling, brother?
It's amazing. I mean, the chefs used to do a golf tournament every year, and then it just kind of died by the wayside after COVID. And our auxiliary board, or our one group of like brokers and salespeople and distributors, they
kind of fell off the wagon a little bit.
Fell off, and because everything was turned upside down.
Everything was, yeah.
It's just like we fell off the cliff,
Yeah.
And we're just getting back on top of the cliff to get started again. And Tom sounds like he's got a great program, and we've talked about it.
Yeah, and for him to take on, as a business leader,
right,
to take on a veteran centric pathway, to really help our veterans out.
Yeah.
Super cool. I mean,
they know missions, they just got to have direction for the mission,
and it's such a cool therapeutic effect, just like cooking, right?
Anytime you're out on the golf course, it's a therapeutic. And listen,
yeah, and it might be, and you know what, you cook too, right? You could cook it up on the golf course, and that's therapeutic effect. So if you want to be a chef, this is the guy to talk to too.
Yes. I used to do a lot of stuff for Southwest Airlines, and every year they'd come out here and they'd have different entertainers on the strip, and it was just great. And we'd be cooking, and they'd be in the booth with us giving out food. And Southwest, I did it for him every year. LT, he was a football player, and he's like a vice president now, but he used to be one of the main guys, and he used to say, hey, we'll bring you the chicken and you marinate it for us, and you got the grills, or the golf courses got the grills, just come out. It's a fundraiser. I'd say, sure. So my people and I would come out, we'd put chafing dishes, or they'd have chafing dishes for us there. And we'd grill up chicken, and we'd grill up burgers, and, we'd have always a great time. Anytime you're outside on a golf course, it's a wonderful day. I don't play, but you know what? I love the golf course. It's outside,
Yeah, definitely. Nature. Hey, Chef, let's talk about this real quick one more time, and then we'll get into feed drops. Or you got anything else to add?
No, that's it.
I just want to put the flyer back up here so people know that next Saturday.
Get your flag on putt-putt, and it's $20 to sponsor a hole, $10 if you want to play putt-putt. It's 9 holes. It's inside. It's 105 outside, air conditioning inside. They have a bar there. The Eagles, we do a lot of things with the Eagles, and they give us a lot of things. So it's inside their banquet room. Great place to have a putt-putt. And they get creative on building these holes, just like if you went to a center to play. So, and they have prizes, and they have raffle tickets, and they have a full bar. So, what a way to spend Saturday night in a family position.
Exactly. And it benefits the Veterans Transition Resource Center. So
yes, it does. It directly it supports us and our mission to help veterans. So, and it's important.
Yeah, we definitely try to pack in those resources into so many cool places and things.
Yes.
And if you're a veteran that wants to, I mentioned the guitar build that's going on in August. Recon Chief Incorporated is doing that, along with the American Patriot Music Project. And so if you're a veteran that really wants to get out there, it's 200 miles from here, but it's a 3-day build. I think it'll be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of deal. And you're going to build an electric guitar from scratch. We just got done doing that at the Warrior Built facility. So there's some things out there. If you're a veteran that wants to take part in that's part of the organizations that we're part of, or if you want to be part of those organizations, get involved. Get involved with your life. Find your way to get sober. Find your way to get engaged in positive movements in a forward direction. Because there's a lot of guys dealing with a lot of things out there. The PTSD Foundation of America has a lot of resources to, It's out of Houston, Texas, headquartered there. And that's where we send a lot of guys, 6 to 9 months of treatment. And they come back and hopefully be engaged in their lives to all the other resources that exist that we can help you out with in some direction. Be involved in it, and then start working, start doing little things that are going to be important to you.
You made a guitar the last time with your son.
I
A
did.
great way to establish yourself back as a family man and get closer with your with your children and engage in building something that is a quality piece of work, because these guitars are unbelievable. I mean,
yeah, and it just brings
this,
brings you close to the music genre of the United States of America and so much all over the world, really.
Yes.
When you talk about rock and roll or whatever music's going on that you listen to, there might be a guitar involved, most likely. A piano might be a little bit more, but if you know how to play a piano, you can learn how to play a guitar, and you can learn how to, there's so many other things.
That's it.
But Chef, hey, you got any last things, and we'll get into feed drops?
No, that's it.
All right, we got to banter a little bit more. We got to do all this stuff. But Brian Colburn's on deck. Hey, feed drops is his deal, and feed drops is a cool thing to check out. He rates podcasts and gives them this it's usually a 5-minute kind of deal. But Brian comes on here live to feed drop us so that you don't have to make the same mistakes or can already improve your ability to get on and to be a podcaster.
All right.
Brian, hey, welcome, brother. SitchRadio.com. SitchRadio.com.
Thank you both. And I first want to compliment you on the improvements in your show notes, which we've discussed on prior feed drops. They're really coming together. Links are there and present and working, especially for the guests that come on board. I love the fact that you're integrating more visuals into the show for those listening. And for those watching, if you're just listening, links to those things are in the show notes as well. So you can still, see the flyers or download the graphic or whatnot. So that's all good stuff. Today, I think I don't know if I've talked about this before. And if not, I should have, but I'm going to do it now. Sometimes you'll ask a question, Chief, and then you'll answer it. And it's like, if you're asking your guest a question, let the guest answer the question. And then you can relate it. Yes, that's exactly how it worked when we were working together with Warrior Build, or that reinforces what was being spoken by the guest. Other than that, man, you guys did a great job today.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Brian, in my head, I was listening to you feed drop me when I was asking 3 questions at one time.
Yep.
And I was like, no, I'm supposed to only ask one question at a time. So that's what's cool about feed drops. That's what's cool about this podcast. I feel like it's a learning process for all of us, because I'm going to learn about Brady's story. I'm going to learn about his continued service at the town Galpin and doing some stuff there in Colorado. And the fact that he, it's more important for us to be involved in our services in wherever you're at to make a difference at your side of the street.
Yes.
Keep your side of the street clean.
The most important thing is that he's continuing with his life. He's not getting a bunch of VA candy, sitting as a zombie overlooking that beautiful area that he lives in and not doing anything. I mean, he's out hunting, fishing. He's got a wife. He's with the population with common sense. I mean, a lot of great things he was talking about that I could relate to. And, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that's the beauty of this show. I have friends who are veterans who I don't associate with much because it's nothing but negativity, moping, drinking. And it's like, I want to surround myself with people that are going to uplift me and make me a better person and make me more focused on helping others. And maybe that's why I hang out with you two knuckleheads. But
that's all right though.
Other people, it's like I can't be around the negativity. Now, I still check in on them. I still do my buddy checks because that's important.
They're brothers. Yeah.
But I just have to surround myself with people who are going to make me a better human being. When I was playing chess, My brother-in-law, Buddy Meets, he's no longer with us. He was a Marine. I met him when he was a sergeant. He started dating my sister. And he taught me to play chess. And he would always tell me, because he would just wipe the board with me. You know, I could never beat the guy. But he goes, you're not going to get better if you're not playing people that are better than you. And it's that same mentality. I want to surround myself with people I feel are better than me so I can be better. And that's one beautiful thing about this show. Hearing these stories, it's like, oh, life sucks. And then you hear these stories and you're like, wow, their life seems to be a little harder than mine. And they picked themselves up by the bootstraps and they've continued to march. I need to do the same. So it's good motivational stuff. You boys keep it going.
Hey, thanks, Brian. And I got to say, you know, Brian and I have also used the Veterans Transition Center because we came in here. I'm always learning from him. You know, Chef's always coming in here and I'm learning from him, you know, different events that are kicking off. And, you know, I've been able to help Chef out with some things. And
oh, yeah, definitely.
And it's just been an honor, Brian, because, you know, like you said, you're moving here to the Vegas area and you're going to have, you know, the opportunity to come in here and we'll be able to kind of hash out how we're going to better, you know, manage the podcast, how we're going to be able to grow certain things, how I'm going to be able to reach better, you know, a better connective, you know, outreach to our veteran community and drive those guys into some other help and support wherever that might be. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the learning process. I'm looking forward to the Veterans Transition Resource Center to grow their resources. And Chef, what else you got for
I'm out, boys.
All right. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, Brian. You know what? A lot of things are really starting to hop, and there's a lot of growth on the horizon, and a lot of things I can't share at this point, but growth is coming, rapid, extensive growth. So it's a great time to be involved. My hat is off to you. You said you were going to help, and you've been there for me all along the way. And that, my friend and brother, I say thank you. And now we're getting Brian into town, and I'll start putting him to work. So it's all good.
I knew it was going to be a good thing for sure.
Yeah. God's got the master plan, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Chef, you got anything else?
No, that's it for today.
So
I wish everybody out there great food and bon appetit.
Hey, until next time, thanks a lot for being here. Thanks to the Warrior Built Foundation, Recon Chief Incorporated, the Veterans Transition Resource Center, the PTSD Foundation of America, and Brian Colburn, SitchRadio.com for making this happen. And that's Sitch, SITCH for the situation, SitchRadio.com. Yeah, Darts Only Golf. Thanks for coming on here and talking. And Brady, hope your campaign is doing well. And if you want to get a hold of him, hit me up, or anybody on my show for that matter, hit me up. And we got these 10-minute segments so that we can advertise for you and put some information out there that's super valuable. Until next time, strength and honor. Out.
The only way, and we need nothing more. The only way, together forever, that's for sure.